so this is the summary for the day of 712 for the to 713 for the 5th to the 6th of February. Some conclusion. So the Russians are really pushing really hard over at Kreminna. I think this is something really to watch over this area here. The Russians are pushing towards Terny and Yampolivka. The fall of Terny and Yampolivka will collapse will collapse the defense of Zarishny and Torsky, because the Russians will be able to push to the rear positions and threatening Zarishny from the rear, and then the Ukrainian forces trying to defend at Dibrova and Torsky will be cut off from reinforcement, and then fighting will be at Liman itself, and then down the road towards Yampil, the entire front line will just collapse. So so this is very dangerous, and if the Russians do capture Terny and Yampolivka, let's say this is really captured, then the Ukrainians will have to defend the Belohorivka line here really hard. They cannot let the Russians break through. A breakthrough in this area, like I mentioned, will collapse the front line. So this is the part. I think Ivanivske, as I mentioned during the report, the Russians are now pushing northward from the highway, and I believe that they will do a pincer and line up themselves before they can launch an attack in multiple directions. So we shall continue to watch this situation, Ivanivske. Another front line let's talk about is, I believe, okay, New York region. These are probings. I don't think these are serious attacks, and the airstrikes are definitely making it look really serious. But I still believe that this is actually just a diversionary attempt to force Ukrainians to allocate more resources into this area here, to divert their attention away from Avdiivka, because the real attack, I believe, is the real attack is actually at Avdiivka, and this offensive in this area here is the one that is going to crush the Ukrainians and create some massive PR disaster for the Ukrainians. So New York is definitely just diversion, but the thing is, you still have to defend against the diversion, because if you do not, then the Russians may break through over at the New York. So even if the Russians are making this push at Avdiivka, so this is the real push, right? But if, let's say, if they do not defend this front line and the Russians break through in this area, it will just be as disastrous, it's just be as bad. And then you're going to have two weak points, one at New York and one at Avdiivka, and it's just going to be worse. So, and over at Novomykhalivka, as I mentioned, the Russians are making this serious push in the north, and they are now being reported to be pushing in the east, which means that the east might be pressuring the Ukrainians to defend in this direction, while the Russians can then focus on pushing downward and straighten the front line, and then the Novomykhalivka will be taken into heavy combat. So we shall see how this progress. Otherwise, I don't want to talk again about Zorita Neva. The changes over at the Vuhledar, of course, is interesting. This geolocation just shows that the Russians have been attacking in this area, but it was not reported, or it was reported but the frontline change was not reported. Prione continues to be a bizarre battle for nothing, and let's see. And interestingly, Nesteryanka at the Orikhiv sector continues to be a thing, and so we shall watch this. And Krinky is still around. So anyway, these are the conclusions. Thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.